The Ravkor were the deadliest hunters in the galaxy. For centuries, they had dominated the stars, tearing through species like they were nothing. Their warships were unstoppable, their warriors merciless, their hunts legendary. Every world they attacked ended the same way: burned, conquered, and forgotten. Now, their leader, Warlord Zarketh, had chosen a new target, a planet called Earth. A world of weak, soft creatures that had never fought an enemy like them. It would be an easy hunt, or so they thought. A new target. Zarketh stood on the command deck of his massive flagship, the Bloodfang. The holographic image of Earth floated before him, glowing in blue and green. He sneered, "Another weak species to fall before us." His second in command, Varrak, bared his fangs. "Our scouts report no planetary shields, no orbital defenses." Zarketh growled in satisfaction. Pathetic. The Ravkor had conquered dozens of civilizations. Some had fought back. Some had begged for mercy. None had survived. Earth would be no different. The first strike. A scout fleet of Ravkor warships sped toward the blue planet. They entered orbit, scanning the surface. Cities, oceans, mountains. Billions of humans, clueless that their doom was near. Zarketh's voice echoed through the fleet's comms. "Drop the hunting parties. Let the slaughter begin." Metal pods rained from the sky, carrying elite Ravkor warriors. They landed in forests, deserts, and human cities. Each warrior carried weapons capable of wiping out entire armies. They expected an easy massacre. They expected to crush this planet in a single night. They were wrong. Something is wrong. The first hunting party landed in a dense jungle. Thick trees surrounded them, shadows moving in the undergrowth. Varrak activated his wrist scanner. Thermal readings detected. Humans ahead. His warriors grinned, baring their razor-sharp teeth. They had hunted in jungles before. This would be easy. But as they moved forward, something strange happened. Their scanners glitched. Weapons flickered. Then, a gunshot rang out. A Ravkor warrior dropped dead. Varrak froze. What? Another shot. Another warrior down. This wasn't a hunt. It was an ambush. The unstoppable hunters had just met something they had never faced before. A prey that refused to run. A prey that fought back. Humans. The Ravkor had never failed a hunt. They were the galaxy's most feared predators. Unstoppable, merciless, and dominant. But now, for the first time in their history, they were losing. Ambush in the jungle. Varrak crouched behind a fallen tree, his claws gripping the dirt. Two of his warriors were already dead. Their bodies lay motionless in the undergrowth, their armor pierced by human bullets. This was not how hunts were supposed to go. The prey ran. The prey screamed. The prey died. Humans were not running. A crackling voice came through his comms. "Commander, we're under attack in the city. They have weapons. They..." The transmission cut off. Varrak felt something strange. Something no Ravkor had ever felt before. Uncertainty. An unseen enemy. The jungle was too quiet. The humans had no heat signatures. They moved like ghosts, silent, invisible, and deadly. Varrak motioned to his warriors. "Switch to motion scanners. Find them." His troops activated their helmets. The scanners flickered. Then, static. "Commander, our systems." A sudden explosion erupted from the trees, throwing a warrior off his feet. Another one vanished into the darkness, screaming as something pulled him away. Varrak's blood ran cold. "They are hunting us." The fall of the Ravkor squad. One by one, his warriors fell. Gunfire echoed through the jungle. Explosions ripped through the trees. Varrak's best warriors, some of the deadliest killers in the galaxy, were being torn apart by a species that was supposed to be weak. Varrak growled, gripping his plasma rifle. No more hiding. No more fear. He would rip these creatures apart with his own claws. He stepped forward, and then a human voice echoed through the jungle. "You picked the wrong planet." A sharp whistle cut through the air. Then, darkness. The hunt had changed. Zarkith watched from orbit. He had expected to see Earth burning. Instead, his fleet was receiving distress signals from his hunters. Something was wrong. Humans were supposed to be the hunted. But now, the Ravkor were the prey. Zarkith's blood boiled as he watched the battle reports. His warships had hovered above countless worlds, watching his warriors tear through civilizations without resistance. But now, his most elite hunting squads were being slaughtered. By humans. Impossible. Vanishing warriors. Varric gasped as he woke up. His head throbbed. His armor was cracked. Where am I? Darkness surrounded him. He was alone. The jungle had swallowed his entire squad. His helmet's communicator crackled with static. Then, a whisper. "You shouldn't have come here." Varric's claws tightened around his plasma rifle. "They're playing with us." He wasn't used to fear, but this wasn't a battle. This was a nightmare. Resistance in the city. Meanwhile, in the human city of New Eden, the Ravkor's second hunting party was under siege. They had expected panicked civilians. Instead, they were met with bullets, traps, and explosions. A Ravkor warrior, Thurvak, ducked behind a burning vehicle. His squad of 12 warriors had been cut down to 5. They had landed 1 hour ago. A massive explosion ripped through the streets, flipping a Ravkor transport on its side. Humans poured out of buildings, attacking from all directions. They are fighting like warriors, not prey. Thurvak roared into his communicator. His voice was met with silence. No reinforcements. No backup. Only humans closing in. Zarkith's growing fear. Zarkith slammed his fist against the command console. His mighty Ravkor were being overrun. His species had hunted across the galaxy for centuries. But this was something they had never encountered before. A species that refused to kneel. A species that refused to die. A species that wasn't afraid to fight back. Zarkith's voice was a low growl. "Pull back the hunting parties. Regroup." His officer hesitated. "Sir, they're not responding." Silence. Zarkith's claws gripped the console. "What is happening down there?" Then, a human transmission hijacked his communications. A deep, cold voice spoke. "Welcome to Earth. You're not hunting anymore." Zarkith's eyes widened. For the first time in his life, he felt fear. Zarkith's mandibles clicked nervously as he paced across the command deck. The hunting squads were gone. Vanished. Erased. Their vital signals had flatlined one by one, leaving only silence. The great Ravkor warlord had never faced anything like this. His species had hunted on 1,000 worlds. But here, they were the ones being hunted. This wasn't just resistance. This was a calculated, merciless counterattack. And it was working. The human plan unfolds. On Earth's surface, deep in an underground command bunker, General Elias Carter studied the battle reports. They're confused. They're panicking. He turned to his officers, his expression grim but determined. "We don't just push them back. We bury them." The humans had prepared for this. They knew that Earth was seen as weak. They knew that someone would come, sooner or later, to claim them as prey. So they made Earth a death trap. Decades of planning. Hidden defensive satellites, EMP traps, underground missile silos, and encrypted comms to disrupt alien signals. The Ravkor thought they were unstoppable. They had no idea what kind of war they had just walked into. The battle turns. Varric stumbled through the jungle, bleeding. His warriors were dead, and the humans had never revealed their full strength. He reached a clearing, panting. His ship was there. If he could get to it, he could warn the others. Then, gunfire. Bullets tore into the dirt beside him. He roared, turning his plasma rifle toward the trees. A sniper round punched through his shoulder. He fell to his knees, gasping. A shadow stepped forward, a human soldier. His rifle was trained on Varek's head. Going somewhere. Varek looked into his cold, steady eyes. There was no fear, just calm precision. A predator, not prey. Varek finally understood. They had made a mistake. Zarkith's desperation. A RAV Corps officer stumbled onto the bridge, breathing heavily. "Sir, our forces are in full retreat. We're losing." Zarkith's mind raced. This was impossible. A backwater species was doing what no one had ever done before. Defeating them. Hunting them. Destroying them. Zarkith's claws tightened into fists. Prepare an orbital bombardment. If they couldn't hunt the humans, they would burn them. His fleet powered up its weapons. Earth had resisted. But now it was time to end it all. At least, that's what Zarkith thought. Because at that moment, the humans revealed their final surprise. Zarkith's fleet moved into position above Earth, ready to end this war in flames. The RAV Corps had never been humiliated like this before. A species of hunters, now running like prey. Zarkith's mandibles twitched in rage. Charge all plasma cannons. Target their major cities. Earth would be turned to ashes. His warriors might have failed, but he would not. The humans would learn what happened to those who challenged the RAV Corps. Then, his fleet sensors blared a warning. The sky awakens. A massive electromagnetic surge erupted from the planet's surface. Zarkith's ship shuddered. His bridge flickered in and out of darkness. "Sir, something is interfering with our systems," a RAV Corps officer shouted. Zarkith's eyes narrowed. "What is this?" Then the human response came. From the darkness of space, hundreds of hidden satellites activated. Massive railgun platforms, built in secret. Human-built warships, long thought to be primitive, now emerging from deep space hiding spots. And most terrifying of all, the planet itself had defense systems buried deep beneath its surface. Laser batteries, missile silos, and electromagnetic disruptors. Earth wasn't just a world. It was a fortress. The ambush begins. Fire. Across Earth's orbit, human weapons roared to life. Railgun slugs ripped through RAV Corps hulls, tearing ships apart in seconds. Plasma turrets launched counterstrikes, hitting weak points with perfect precision. Zarkith watched in horror as his warships exploded one by one. His unstoppable fleet was being torn apart. The RAV Corps had never faced a species like this. Not only were humans fighting back, they had planned for this moment. They had been waiting. The hunters are doomed. On the ground, General Elias Carter watched the battle unfold. His plan was working. The RAV Corps had believed Earth to be weak. They had no idea. Carter turned to his officers. Push them back. Every last one. Human fighter squadrons soared into the sky, hunting down the retreating alien ships. On the RAV Corps command ship, Zarkith felt true fear. This wasn't a war anymore. This was a massacre. He had come to hunt a weak species, but the moment his fleet arrived, the real hunters had been watching. Now, the RAV Corps were prey, and there was nowhere left to run. Zarkith's fleet was collapsing. What was supposed to be a glorious hunt had become a slaughter. Every RAV Corps warship that tried to retreat was targeted and destroyed by human forces. Railgun rounds tore through hulls. Missiles chased fleeing ships. Energy disruptors shut down their escape routes. Zarkith's command ship was the last one standing. His crew scrambled in panic. "Sir, shields are down. The humans are closing in." Zarkith gritted his fangs. This was impossible. How had everything gone so wrong? "Divert all power to engines. We need to leave this system." His ship lurched forward, trying to flee into deep space. Then, a human warship appeared in front of them. A massive black behemoth, unlike anything the RAV Corps had ever seen. Its weapons were already primed. Zarkith stared at it in disbelief. Then the human commander's voice came through his speakers. Calm, cold, deadly. going somewhere. The last stand. Zarkith knew there was only one choice left: fight or die. With a snarl, he turned to his officers. All weapons, fire. Plasma cannons blazed. Missiles launched. The human warship didn't move. It just absorbed the attack like it was nothing. Then, it fired back. A single railgun shot punched through Zarkith's ship. Explosions ripped through the hull. The bridge shook violently. Sparks flew. Metal groaned. Smoke filled the air. Zarkith stumbled forward, gripping his console. His ship was dying. His empire was crumbling. For the first time in his life, he felt true fear. The humans had been underestimated. And now, the Rav Corps were paying the price. A fitting end. The human commander spoke again, his voice sharp as a blade. This is what happens when predators forget that they, too, can be hunted. Zarkith let out a final defiant snarl. His people had ruled the stars for centuries. But in their arrogance, they had awakened a nightmare. And now, as his ship collapsed into fire and wreckage, he realized the truth. The Rav Corps weren't the greatest hunters in the galaxy. The humans were. The Rav Corps flagship was breaking apart. Flames crawled across the hull as explosions ripped through its core. Zarkith, once the undisputed ruler of the galaxy's greatest hunters, could do nothing but watch his empire burn. The humans had done the impossible. They had turned the hunters into prey. And now, there was no escape. The final blow. The human warship hovered in front of the dying flagship. Weapons charged. Target locked. Zarkith stared at the screen. The human commander's voice came through one last time. "Your hunt is over." Then, the final shot was fired. A single railgun round tore through the Rav Corps flagship's core. The ship shattered apart, breaking into fire and debris. The last of the Rav Corps fleet was gone. Their once mighty empire had fallen in a single battle. The war is over, but humanity remembers. On Earth, General Elias Carter watched as the last Rav Corps ship disappeared from the sky. The battle was won, but this was just the beginning. The galaxy had learned a deadly lesson today. Humanity was not weak. They were not prey. And if anyone tried to hunt them again, they would fight back. Not as victims, not as survivors, but as the most feared hunters in the galaxy. The war was over, but humanity's legend had just begun.